Greetings and welcome to Bubble Hearthing. I'm Bubble and you're fantastic. Today we're going to be going over all of the green cards for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. The only place where whatever might ail you, the best advice you'll ever get is to just try turning it off and on again, and that should really do the trick. So, why am I wearing these headphones? Couldn't tell you, but you know what? That intro was solid. We're gonna move on. First card is a reference to Azusa Lost but Seeking back, actually not really too far back. She was originally printed back in Kamigawa, but she was actually reprinted somewhat recently in M21. Didn't do a whole lot there because there wasn't a whole lot to do with lands. But currently we have her many journeys. Yes, this is actually the first card. So for 2 mana, you get an Enchantment Saga. Chapter 1, you may play an additional land this turn. Makes sense, that's kind of what she did back then, originally. Chapter 2, you gain 3 life. Makes no sense, but okay, it's a green card, I could see that. In Chapter 3, you flip it over. All of these sagas in this set, in fact, have their final chapter, and I think all of them actually only have 3 chapters, although I could be wrong. But all of them definitely flip over to become a creature, an enchantment creature at that. This one becomes Likeness of the Seeker, a 3/3 human monk. And whenever Likeness of the Seeker becomes blocked, untap it to 3 lands you control. So that's where her whole 3 lands a turn thing comes in. And it's only when it becomes blocked, so it's an oddly aggressive green card, and it gets away with it by untapping lands instead of dealing damage or making treasure tokens, I guess. It's strange there, but it's not too bad. And for 2 mana in limited, this is actually quite nice. Ramping in limited is not usually. Actually, I don't want to say that. Ramping in limited is usually pretty strong. It's usually a pretty good thing, not usually to be underestimated. There we go. I managed to slip that not in there and make it make sense, but not in the best way. But yeah, and the 3 life is just to help you stabilize a little bit, help you hang out for a turn, when on turn 2 you didn't really do too much maybe. But yeah, I like her. If you have any sorts of instants you can play, then you could actually tap all your mana and attack with her. And if she gets blocked, untap the mana and then add those 3 lands again to cast an instant. And you can all do that, you can tap all the mana in response to the trigger and then do that so your opponent doesn't have to see it coming. It's interesting. It's not bad. I do like it. I think in limited, this is a perfectly good card. Like a 3 out of 5, maybe 3.5 if you have enough lands. Oh, I'm going to say 3, though. I'm going to say 3. I'm going to stay at 3. There's a lot of 3s here. 3 life, 3 land, 3/3 is a 3. And in standard, this is going to be more along the lines of like a 2, maybe like a 1.5. Just because Ranger class is everywhere, and it does this a little bit better. Ramping isn't really out of, top tier spot right now. So I'm going to give it the 1.5 that I said. Yeah, 1.5, because it's a good card, but just not really what Standard's looking for. Bamboo Grove Archer is a 2 mana 3/3 enchantment creature. Hey, it's a defender though. Oh no. With reach, hey, Snake Archer, and it has the channel ability. This is the first time we're seeing channel on a green card. The channel is an activated ability where you can pay the mana cost, or whatever the cost is, and discard the card, and you get an effect. In this case, it is destroy a target creature with flying. This being an activated ability means that it cannot be countered by most counter spells. It is not actually a spell. It is an activated ability. You can stifle it. Say, I think Tail's End could work. The thing that stops activated things. It might have to be from a legendary card. I'm not entirely sure. But there are not as many things that stop activated abilities. So largely this is a way to get underneath counter magic. And for that, you destroy a creature with flying. This is okay. I mean, there's a few flyers. If you're worried your opponent opened a big old dragon and you're gonna kill it, even though that's kind of where they get more value, but still you can't just leave a big dragon on the board. I mean, you gotta kill it, right? Ugh, your hands are tied. Then yeah, this card's okay. It being a defender really hurts, but I guess that makes up for the 2 mana 3/3 stat line. Although this is green, so they could have easily just not made this a defender and it would have fit perfectly into green as a color. That's what they do. They just overstat things and slap on words until it seems like it's too strong, and even then it's usually not. So yeah, this card is okay. Defender takes a lot away from it though. So 2.5 out of 5 in limited. Maybe you play it also just because you might want flying removal. And in standard, no. No? No. Bearer of Memory. Not bear, just bearer. That's not a bear, it's even more bear actually. 3 mana 3/2, again enchantment creature. Human monk. Pays 6 mana to put a +1/+1 counter on target enchantment creature, such as herself. It gains trample at the end of turn. I mean, I guess she can step on people. Hey, you know, who am I to judge? But the counter is very relevant because there are a few cards that care about other creatures being modified. A modified creature, which you might be asking, even though this is the 5th video I'm putting out and I've described it in each one, but you know what? We're here and I'm there for you. Is any creature on your side of the board that is equipped, has an aura that you own attached to it, or has a counter on it of any kind. +1/+1 being the most common, but there's also some menace counters, maybe some lifelink counters. If you go back to Ikoria, there's all kinds of counters. So, you know, that sort of thing. I guess if a Planeswalker became a creature, it would still have the loyalty counters on it, so that would also be modified. Maybe relevant. I don't think so, but maybe. So, that is a nice ability. That is a mana sink. At that, it is not to be ignored and limited. However, it is a 3 mana 3/2 with an ability that costs 6. Sorry, so very expensive thing. This is gonna sit there and not do too much. So with that, I will give this. I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5. I'm gonna put it at the same level as a bear. It's nice that you can do more things with it later on, but it's expensive. You can probably only do that once a turn. I mean, 12 mana to give something +2/+2 forever, but still. I think your opponent might find a better use for all that mana. And a standard is way too slow. Blossom Prancer, look at that. That's actually just a really nice picture. Like, that's good. I can imagine Bob Ross painting that. With, like, you know, some more happy little trees, maybe a mountain in the background, you know. Alright, so for 5 mana, you get a 4/4 Spirit. Nice, this is the Land of Spirits after all. With Reach. Nice how this has Reach and doesn't have to have Defender. When Blossom Prancer enters the battlefield, but it has a whole bunch of words, there are actually more words in this set than anything else. It's insane. So bear with me. You know how long it's going to take. You clicked on the video. It might be a while. Enters the battlefield. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card. You may reveal a creature or enchantment card from among them and put it into your hand. So top 5. Okay, sure. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If you didn't put a card into your hand, this way you gain 4 life. In limited, this is quite good because 5 mana, you make something that can block pretty much anything. And not only that, but it's basically going to replace itself with another creature or enchantment. You know, you get some good selection there. Or if there's nothing you want or you don't see anything you can take, then at least you get to 4 life, which helps you stay alive a little bit longer anyway. So, reasonable card in limited. I'd say like a 3 out of 5, as long as you have other things to look for. And in standard, it's too slow again. It's not doing what we want. If we want to look for creatures, then gosh darn it, we're going to look for them some other way. That is cheap. We're cheap. Boon of Boseiju is a 2 mana instant. Target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the greatest mana value among permanents you control, and untap it. This is a strange card. I don't know why this exists. I think that green should have gone a different way with buffing creatures. Really, with the greatest mana value among permanents you control? I mean, I guess it's probably going to be +3/+3 or +4/+4. And a lot of value is coming out of just untapping it, because otherwise it's Titanic Growth with extra steps that might not always be that strong. I don't like this card. I don't think, like, don't be confused and look at your biggest guy and be like, it could be so much bigger. Yeah. And you don't have to target your big guy. You can target a small guy and still give it the huge buff if you have the big guy on the board. But, does it give it trample? No, it just untaps it is okay, though. No, I don't like it. 1 out of 5 in limited and 0 in standard. Boseiju reaches skyward. That's right, Boseiju's back, baby. Actually, I guess Boseiju never left, but it's still there. Hell yeah. The roots go deep. Actually, the roots kind of go tall. I don't know. How does that tree work? How do trees work in general? So, for 4 mana, Chapter 1, search your library for up to 2 basic forest cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. Okay, not bad. It's actually kind of a standard right there, 4 mana to get 2 lands. Sometimes they come into play. In this case, they are into your hand. Chapter 2, put up to 1 target land card from your graveyard on top of your library. Not sure why you want to do that and put it on top and mess up the draw for your next turn unless you're playing lands, which is largely a... Is that a legacy thing, or modern? Yeah, it's largely a legacy deck, but okay. In Chapter 3, it becomes the Branch of Boseiju, of the Mosaic of the Branch of Boseiju, actually, which is a 0/0 with reach. It's a plant. But it gets +1/+1 for each land you control. So after all that land stuff, it gets something that grows with the land. If you want to do something like this, just play Red and 7. I don't know why you're playing this. Do you really need enchantments that badly? I don't think you do. I'm pretty sure in Limited you don't really need this. It's not a horrible card. You might just want to, it says up to 1 target land for Chapter 2. You might just want to choose 0. I mean, you might not even have any lands in the graveyard to that point, really. So, with that, in Limited, it's okay. I would give it like a 2. Maybe a 3 out of 5 if, you know, you got some land. Sure, it gives you some ramp. I'll give it a 2.5 out of 5. I'll split it right in the middle. In Standard, though, I'll give it a 1. Maybe, but again, just play Red and 7. It costs 1 more and does so much more. Okay, sorry. I was going to say Cult of Carefulation. No. Careful Cultivation is a 3-mana enchantment aura. Enchant artifact or creature. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +3, +1/+3, and has reach and tap to add 2 green mana. Or you can channel it. For 1 and a green, and discarding it, you can make a 1/1 green human monk creature token with tap out a green. So you basically add a Llanowar monk. I mean, it's a human monk, but Llanowar elf style, you know? Yeah, okay. And you can do that at instant speed, meaning you can do it at the end of your opponent's turn, so they can't remove it. They can't necessarily bolt the monk, even though it bolt is an instant speed thing, so by the nature of it, they can, especially in your untap step. Or in your upkeep, rather. Untap. Yeah, untap would be the first one. But still, it's okay. For 3 mana, giving something a really big ass to block things with, and the ability to ramp a little bit isn't terrible. I'll give this like a 1.5 out of 5 in Limited. And 0 in Standard, excuse me. Coiling Stalker. I'm not sure why this one is kind of fuzzy looking, but okay. And not the actual creature, but the artwork, that the card image I have is not the clearest. My apologies. For 2 mana, you get a 2/1 Snake Ninja. Now that's a nice typing there. I like that. With ninjutsu cost of 2. Yes, ninjutsu is back in case you haven't realized. And the way ninjutsu works is, well, let's read it here. You can pay the cost there and return an unblocked attacker you control to hand. Or to your hand, you know. You put this card into the battlefield tapped and attacking. And it just exists there. So you remove a creature, you would be dealing damage, but it didn't, you know. Or I guess you could do it after combat damage, but you don't always want to. Most commonly, you declare your attackers. Your opponent says, I'm blocking this one, but not that one. And you say, okay, I'm going to pay this mana, and that one is actually, swap it out, a Coiling Stalker, or whatever it is. There you go. Now you know. Whenever Coiling Stalker deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control that doesn't have a counter on it already. Specifically a +1/+1 counter. Okay, not terrible. It does have to continue connecting. I don't see any reason why it would continue connecting. It has no sort of evasion past the initial ninjutsu high got one attack through. So, yeah, but it is cheap. But it is also just a 2/1 that could become a 3/2, and then it stops there because it has a counter, so it has to put a counter on something else. Yeah, it's not great. It's like a 1 out of 5 there in Limited, and Standard is just not good at all. Commune with the Spirits. For the record, I don't really think many ninjas are going to be that great in Standard, even though Biting Palm Ninja is pretty sweet. Because the tempo loss you have from just, I'm putting mana into swapping out a creature on the board instead of just playing another creature, it's pretty significant. Commune with Spirits is a 1 mana. I'm going to cut myself off right there. There is a good number. There are a good number. Good numbers exist for 1-drops in this set. Hold on 1 second. Gotta. Dehydration's a real enemy. Remember that. So, there's a whole lot of 1-drops in this set. I don't know why they decided to do that, but they did, and I am for it, let me tell you. And I always say, never underestimate a 1-drop. Always look at it. If it can do anything remotely useful, remotely significant to your deck, just give it the time of day. Maybe then you can dismiss it fine, but never be too hasty with these. So, 1 mana sorcery. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an enchantment or land card among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. 1 mana, look at 4 things and pick an enchantment or land. Yeah, I like this. I'm all for this card. I think this card's great. What are you kidding? I'm like, this is great. If you're playing Limited and are splashing green or another color, if you're multicolored and green's one of them, I would play this. It's not Farseek, but it's like doing an impression of Farseek, and I'm okay with that. Also, being able to get enchantments is cool. There's a good number of enchantment creatures and sagas and auras in the set. That's the whole thing, as well as synergies with those, beyond that. So this card's great. Yeah, in limited, this is like easily a 3.5. I hesitate to say 4 because it doesn't impact the board, except you're getting a card that hopefully does. Maybe, if it said like, look at the top 6 cards, I would say it's a 4 out of 5. But with 4 cards where there's you're really going to whiff on a land? Probably not. But if you do whiff on it, feels pretty bad. But it's only 1 mana putting into it. So I'm gonna stick with like 3.5 out of 5. In limited, there you go. And in standard, I will give it a 2.5. I think it's pretty good still. I have no issues with this. Usually cards that are pretty good that I don't have problems with don't actually see that much play, but I think this one might get through. I don't know. 1 mana says a lot. Fade into Antiquity is a 3 mana sorcery. Very simply, exile target artifact or enchantment. It's just gone. I'm going to start with saying that in standard, I don't think it's going to see any play because we already have plenty of what Return to Nature comes to mind, or whatever other thing we have Naturalize is, doing these days. To destroy artifacts or enchantments with instant speed for less mana. Oh, but this exile's good for you. I still think that it's better to just play things cheaper and on your opponent's turn if you need to. There you go. And in limited, this card's actually pretty good. There are a good number of artifacts, and I just finished talking about enchantments, so you will have a good number of targets. This is not exactly your premier removal. You do still want a solid kill spell for, things that aren't always artifacts or enchantments, creatures that don't meet those requirements. But it's not a bad card either. I would definitely put this into a deck and not really have any issues with it. And I would like to draw it most of the time. So with that, I'll give it a 3 out of 5 in limited, and 0 in standard because, better options. 1 mana, 1/1, Fang of Shigeki. It's a snake ninja. Hello. It has death touch. Very simple. Has death touch. I guess this might make its way in. It's an enchantment creature also, which could be relevant. This might make its way into Finn the Fangbearer decks in standard with poison and whatnot. Otherwise, it's not going to do anything. It's just what it is. I guess your opponent might not want to block it because of the death touch, so you could have this as a decent way to try to sneak a ninja in there. Ninjutsu something, because this is a ninja, it's already there. Right. But beyond that, it's nice to have, sure. I'll give it a 2.5 out of 5 unlimited because it's almost removal. Like, it makes your opponent think about it. At least they definitely have to remove this creature. This isn't something they can just ignore because it's going to keep their strongest creature back that doesn't fly, or it's going to get through and deal some damage and whatnot. Yeah, card's good. Oh, and in standard, the only place that we can actually see play is Finn the Fangbearer. So outside of that, it's going to be like a 0. And I think the Finn deck is really not that great. So yeah, still 0. Favor of Jukai is a 4 mana enchantment or enchant artifact or creature. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +3/+3 and has reach. Okay, 4 mana +3/+3 and reach. That's a lot of mana to ask for to give that, and reach is not the most relevant keyword. But you can channel it for 2 and discard it. Target creature gets +3/+3 and gains reach on the turn. So if you channel it, it gets the buff just for a little while. Whereas if you pay the whole 4 mana, it gets that buff forever until it dies. Because reasons. So obviously you're going to want to channel this card. Almost like 9 out of 10 times you're going to want to channel it and go nuts. Unfortunately, reach is not an aggressive keyword, and I would rather use this in an aggressive way where, I'm attacking, I'm going to buff my creature. By the way, it has reach now, it doesn't matter. So that's something that I just don't really care for, but it isn't terrible. So, it's basically you pay 1 extra for giant growth, and okay, maybe that's where we are in the world. So, without further hemming and hawing, 2 out of 5 in limited and 0 out of 5 standard. Generous Visitor. So I'm doing this thing where I put a trophy over the card that I think is the best one in that color, that I'm reviewing for the video. And yeah, this is it. This is the one. It's not the 1-drop. The 1-drops can get them, Generous Visitor is a 1 mana spirit. 1/1. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, put up +1/+1 counter on target creature. It's so simple in what it does, but it just does it so very well. Alright. first off, really quick to put down. 1 mana, 1/1. Okay, I got you. We're fine. And then it grows. Oh, but what if you get it later on and then it's not as good? That's okay, because what about modified matters things? That's good, and you can buff other creatures. If it just said put some counter on itself, okay. Still pretty good, not great though. We'll move on. But this thing can spread them out and have your whole board modified. There's plenty of enchantments. Card's really good. I don't think I have to say much more about it. There's not really much more to say about it, but don't be too surprised if this suddenly grows out of control and you're like, damn, I should have killed the visitor when I had the chance. Yep, you should have. But for me, this visitor is quite wanted. Absolutely in limited, like, I'll give it a 3.5, maybe 4. If you have enough enchantments, that's kind of where it's needed. You know, you need to actually fulfill that thing. It's not going to be great unless you do that, but it's still going to be pretty good. In standard, 5 out of 5. Obviously, 5 out of 5 things are great. Again, it might look puny now, but just wait. What's the flavor text say? It is said that one must modestly refuse a gift 3 times before accepting it to show humility before the kami. Oh, that's nice. That's very nice. And this is indeed a kami at being a spirit. Okay, so without further ado, let us pack that up and move on to the next one. Geothermal Kami. I say no. Is a 4 mana 4/3. I say no. When Geothermal Kami enters the battlefield, you may return... No, there we go. You may return an enchantment you control to its owner's hand. If you do, you gain 3 life. ETB, you can bounce an enchantment and gain some life. Could be nice if you want to move some auras around at some point. Or if you want to bounce a creature, because enchantment creatures are a thing. Probably not so much. Maybe you want to just bounce a global enchantment and be like, hey, it's back and I get it. I don't know. It doesn't sound like the most useful thing there, aside from moving an aura from one thing to another. This could possibly be the bigger thing on your side of the board. It's not a small creature, really. So picking up an enchantment to later put on this is a very real possibility. So for that, I'll give it like a 2.5 out of 5. Yeah, the 4/3 is a pretty good body. Also, I like the fact that, and that's unlimited. In standard, it's a 0. A mysterious kami will sometimes appear to overworked monks and offer them a warm, relaxing bath. It's just like, hey, you look tired, jump in me. Like, oh, yeah. Definitely will not digest them. That's not what happens. This is not the scenario that happens at all. Nope. This is quite calm. This is quite nice kami. Global warming kami. Yep. Honden of Life's Web. So this was part of the original Shrine cycle back in whatever that swirly thing looks like. It looks kind of like Time Spiral. I don't know. Is it? Maybe? I don't think so. But the original shrines were referred to as the Hondens. That Honden in the name. One of each color. Fast forward a little bit, but not quite to today. And we have Sanctums in M21. For whatever reason, we brought these back. Don't know why, but it was kind of neat. I had some fun with them. That was actually when I was still a Magic the Gathering official content creator person. I was in their creator program, that's what it was. And I got the early access to, and the God account for the pre-release stuff for M21. Oh, that was nice. And I made all these silly decks and it was great. One of them was Shrines and it was just so stupid. I put Ugin in there, which had no place being there because I couldn't minus some, otherwise I wiped my whole board. But still, it was great. So fond memories, right? And now we have Shrines once again, but this one, actually, it might be the best looking one too, is Go Shintai. Yes, these are, all of them are called Go Shintai. This is the Go Shintai cycle. This is Go Shintai Boundless Vigor. It is a 2 mana, 1/1 legendary enchantment creature shrine. And I will say this again, as I did before, for the other videos, that just because Shrine is on this creature, it is not a creature type. All of your changelings and other stuff that you got from Kaldheim are not suddenly shrines and will not trigger, will not help buff your shrines as they are. Shrine is specifically a type of enchantment. Okay. 2 mana, 1/1 trample, and it's legendary. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1. This is what all the Go Shintai say, is that at the beginning you may pay 1. When you do, put a +1 counter on target shrine for each shrine you control. So on its own, you have this thing, end of the day, you pay 1, and you can give it a counter. And then next turn you can do it again, and do it again, and do it again. You know what this might be? I think this might be the best, or tied for the best of the cycle, just casually. In standard, I don't think these are going to see any play, especially because they're legendary, and they're creatures. They're going to clog up your hand if you have multiples, which feels kind of nasty. At least with the Sanctums, there was the red one, excuse me, where you could pay like 1 mana or whatever, and discard a land or a shrine and deal damage to something, which was nice to get rid of the extra shrine. Oh my goodness, the hiccups for no good reason. Nope. Nope. We're good. Okay. But what is nice is that at least this one in itself can grow to become a bigger threat instead of doing the same thing over and over again. You know, it can sit here, be a 1/1, and then becomes a 2/2 and a 3/3 and a 4/4. It grows, which is very nice there. It only has the counter to shrines, not other creatures, so you got that against you. But it's an enchantment, and it provides a modified creature if you have an extra mana at the end of the day. That's cool. I think this is actually like a 3 out of 5 in limited, maybe even a little bit higher. I'm going to say 3.5, which is quite a bit there. Standard is not worth anything, but in limited, like, this can get there, which is saying a lot for a shrine, really. Grafted Growth is a 3-mana enchantment aura enchant land. Getting a lot of enchantments here. When Grafted Growth enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. That's right, vehicles are back. Enchanted land has tap, add 2 mana of any one color. Oh, nice. So if you're playing this in limited, this is very, very good color, like mana fixing if you need it. Of course, it only has it of one color, so you got to pick one or another, but you know, you pick it when you tap it, whatever. You don't have to worry about that too much. You should be okay. And entering and putting a counter on something is just a nice little bonus there. And similar to the Shrine, it has an enchantment on the board, and it gives something, you know, a buff, and it gives you a modified creature. It's a pretty good card. I'm not going to hate on that too much. So we'll give it a 2 out of 5. It's okay. It's not bad at all, but it's okay. I don't really know if you want to do this for 3 mana. That's not doing too much for 3 mana, but hey, there's worse things to do. And in Standard, there's better things to do, so no. Greater Tanuki, oh, look at this guy. I couldn't resist. I had to put him on there. Like, look, he looks so nice. Look, he's just cruising through. Like, this guy. It looks like a rather large creature, but it still looks like a nice fuzzy guy. I don't know. I want to give him a hug. Anyway, 6 mana, 6/5. Yeah, you're not small. Creature dog. And it has enchantment creature in particular, dog, with trample. And you can channel it for 3 and discarding it. Search the library for a basic land card, put it into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So it's nice that it just puts the card on the battlefield. That's kind of cool. But for 3 mana, do you really want to do that? It's quite a bit. Yeah, it's okay. Unless you have a whole lot of creature, not creature, but enchantment, or like synergy, you really want those enchantments. Unless it's the only high-end card, I think I might pass on this. It's okay, but it's not great. I'll give it the 2 out of 5 again. Yeah, it's alright. Just kind of mediocre. And in Standard is nothing. Harmonious Emergence is a 4-mana aura. Wow. Is everything in green an enchantment? Like, what? Enchant land you control. We're going back to the lands again. Enchanted land is a 4/5 green spirit creature with vigilance and haste. It gives it vigilance and haste. Okay, that's nice. So you can still tap it for mana afterwards. Cool. If enchanted land would be destroyed, instead sacrifice this, then it gains indestructible. Okay, there's another card that does that in red. It makes it a 3/3 with haste. This thing gets it vigilance and haste, but to pay twice the cost, because the red one only costs 2. For 4 mana, this is not a bad effect. But it is important to note that while it gives vigilance and haste, it does not untap the land when you play it. So if you play this on turn 4, with 4 lands out in particular, you're not attacking that turn with it. Maybe something else, and then you have some way to untap the creature with something else on the board already. Possible, I think, but not plausible. So yeah, this is more of a 5 mana, get a 4/5. Not 5 mana, but turn 5, get a 4/5 on the board. Okay. I like it. I don't hate it. It's certainly a threat, and it's not really coming at a whole much of a cost except for a turn. So, you know, time walk yourself and feel okay about it. I'm going to give this card a 2.5 out of 5, though. I think it's all right. I think the body is sizable enough to really warrant a little bit of sacrifice there, even though you don't actually risk the land, because if it would, you know, be destroyed, then it just hangs out anyway. Now then, in Standard, this card costs too much, and it's going to see 0 play. Heir of the Ancient Fang is a 3-mana 2/3 Snake Samurai. Heir of the Ancient Fang enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it if you control a modified creature, which is asking quite a bit. Like, if you already have one, then this becomes one. You couldn't just enter with one already? Have it like be a 2-2, so it enters and becomes a 3-3 with a counter. That just works. No? You had to make me jump through a hoop? Why am I jumping through a singular hoop to make this work? I don't want to. So for that reason, 1 out of 5 in limited. And like, actually 1 out of 5 in limited. Then 0 in standard. Historian's Wisdom is a 3-mana enchantment aura. Enchant artifact or creature. When it enters the battlefield, if enchanted permanent is a creature with the greatest power among creatures in the battlefield, draw a card. If it's not, what the hell are you doing? As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +2/+1. So it's trying to cantrip itself, but it makes you equip the strongest creature. I guess that's also taking into account the buff. So if you have two things that are tied and you put that on there, then it's good. And let's see. I think having a tie is also fine though. Like, it has the greatest creature. These two both have the greatest power. Sorry, not greatest creature. Even with the if you manage to get the card draw thing to work, which shouldn't be too hard. Although it has to be the greatest on the battlefield. So that includes your opponent's creatures. Eek, no, don't like it. Don't like it at all. 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5 in limited. 0 in standard. Invoke the Ancients. This is part of a new cycle we have, the Invoke cycle. So each Invoke card has 4 colored pips of whatever color it is there, the one thing, and then 1 whatever. In this case, we have a green one, so it costs 1 green. Sorcery, create 2, 4, 5 green spirit creature tokens. For each of them, put your choice of a vigilance counter, a reach counter, or a trample counter on it. So that means that they both are going to be modified, as they will have counters, and you get to pick what kind of things you want. Probably vigilance. I don't know how often reach is going to be a thing, but maybe 1 reach just because you want to do a reach. Trample if you're winning, and not if you're not. I think odds are you're going to either do like a reach and a vigilance or a reach and a trample, just to have reach to block flyers, because come on, let's be honest, blocking flyers is a good thing to do unlimited. It just is. It's something we need to figure out. So with that, card's not bad. It requires a heavy investment in green, obviously, but you make 2 of these for 5. So you get 8, 10 worth of stats for 5 mana, plus some keyword counters. Actually, this card's amazing. Wow, okay. If you manage to cast this, yeah, 4.5 out of 5. I don't think it necessarily runs away with the game. I think your opponent will likely play a 5/5 or a 6/6 or something, but if you can just swing a few times, you might close it out pretty quickly. So, yeah, like 4.5 out of 5 in limited. And I'll even go so far as to give it a 2.5 out of 5 in standard. Again, I think you should just run Ren and 7 if you want to make big things that have reach, but maybe you want to make 2 tramplers. You know what? You do what's best for you. Alright, 3 mana, Jugon defends the temple. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. Chapter 1. Create a 1/1 green human monk creature token with tap to add a green. Okay, land war human, sure. Chapter 2. Although for 3 mana, I hate it. Chapter 2. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of the 2 target creatures. Oh, so you think you can just do that? Now it's all better. 3 mana, make a 1/1. That sucks. What the hell are you doing to me? Oh, here you go. I'll give you this. This makes it okay, right? No? Okay, well, how about later on, we can be a 2/2 flyer. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay X. When you do, put X +1/+1 counters on that creature. You know, there was a card back in the day, something Ranger, I don't know exactly what it was like a fox running around, when Simic Flash was a big thing, where the, Mystic, not Mystic Snake, but the one that was like, basically, Frilled Mystic, there we go, was hugely played, as well as the, was it Nightpack Ambusher, or, the green Flash Wolf that can make more wolves. And then, of course, there was also, like, Nexus of Fate that was around, too, I think. Yes, it absolutely was. So, yeah, that had a card in it that could get stronger. Had a similar thing with the X when it entered the battlefield. That saw play, but often didn't get any buffs at all, so I'm going to kind of discount that ability entirely. Last part is, as long as you control 5 or more modified creatures, Remnant of the Rising Star gets +5/+5 and has Trample. So yeah, it could be at 7/7 with Flample. You need to control quite a few modified creatures there. Yeah, but as you play them, they can get modified themselves as an ability. Yeah, but you need them to stay alive, and I don't know that's happening. And if that's already happening, you're probably okay. My goodness, apologies, the yawn has escaped me on this day. So yeah, this card is very slow for what it does, and I don't like it. And you're a mythic. Why are you a mythic? Get out of here. Like, I guess it gives you a creature, and then it has 2 modified, and maybe you had one more before that, and now you might have 4? Oh, no. Oh, you're a mythic. Well, I hope I don't open you. Oh, why are you so bad? Limited, okay, like a 2.5 out of 5. It's alright, it does a few things, and at the end of the day, you get a flyer, sure. But in standard, I think this card's a 0. I think this card's absolutely horrible. Maybe it's easier to get modified creatures than I thought, but 5's a lot. Jukai Preserver, come on, be better so I can get that other thing off my mind. Is a 4-mana 3/3. You're not doing a great job of it so far. Enchantment creature, okay. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Fair. Fair. Okay. 3 mana to channel it, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures you control. Yeah, this card's fine. This card's actually alright. Okay, I feel a little better now. I did not want to lose any faith in green. Granted, I don't have that much to begin with. Green is my least favorite color. I don't know if you could tell. Hopefully not until the last card, and then it was very apparent. But yeah, on her own, she's a 4-mana 4/4 enchantment creature. Sure. With some friends, she can buff things up, you know, a bit. Yeah, I like this card. 2.5 out of 5 in limited. 0 in standard. Jukai Trainee. For the record, I don't know a whole lot about what's going on, but I know the Jukai are the people that kind of resisted, I believe they resisted the advancement of technology, and they just stuck to the old ways, finding refuge by the, finding shelter or refuge, I don't know, it's really refuge, but finding shelter by the roots of Beseiju. Cool. There had to be some faction that kind of, you know, stuck back. So, 2 mana 2/2, Human Samurai. Whenever this blocks or becomes blocked, it gets +1/+1 on a turn. Also known as, something with a B. Bushido? Bushido. B-U... Yeah, I'm gonna say Bushido. That was, old-time Kamigawa mechanic that was a little tricky to parse and wasn't very popular. But, yeah, it's, basically this, but we didn't put the keyword on there because, you know, it's kind of cool. If you know, then you know. So because of that, yeah, I'm just not going to count too much towards that. I think it's largely what it is. So 2 mana 2/2, I'll say it's a 2 out of 5. Yeah. And limited standard, nope. Kami of Transcendence. I just like this picture. I don't know, this big kind of spirit cat. It's also a tree. I like the masks. Hey. 2 mana 2/2 spirit with trample. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Kami of Transcendence. It's not Transcendence, actually, it's Transience. Oh, my mistake there. At the beginning of each end step, if an enchantment was put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn, you may return Kami of Transience from your graveyard to your hand. And that's why it's rare, folks. That's where it comes from. So, yeah, if you have quite a few, an enchantment creature dies, okay, I'll put this back in my hand now. An aura gets blown off because an aura got blown up. Who the hell knows why? Okay, back to the hand. Let's see. Does not trigger when sagas flip over because they exile and then return to the battlefield. They do not go into the graveyard like that, which hurts a little bit. If the saga just went to the graveyard like normal and even just stayed there, then this card would be quite good. On its own, though, like this, it's still pretty good. And I mean, if I'm going to say that Generous Visitor is amazing, because it gets buffed where you can buff things whenever you play an enchantment, then who am I to say this card is not similarly quite good? And it has trample, which is pretty cool too. So with that, I'll give you a lovely 3.5 out of 5. And I think this is just a lovely card overall. Nice artwork there. Steve, well done. In standard, I will give it a 2 out of 5. This might be okay. Might see some play there. I wouldn't be too surprised. I like it. Kappa Tech Wrecker. Oh, yes, this is not a reference at all. Don't mind it. This is no symbology here, nothing going on. It's just completely original stuff. 2 mana, 1/3. Turtle Ninja. Not a Ninja Turtle. Turtle Ninja. Yeah, see, like I told you, original. with ninjutsu for 2 there. So ninjutsu, for those of you that are not aware, and it doesn't say it on the cards, I'll tell you. What you do with ninjutsu is you return an unblocked attacking creature to your hand, and you pay the cost there, to put this into the battlefield tapped and attacking the same target. Cool. You do lose some value in the fact that you're taking away an attacker that is getting through to put something else here. There aren't a whole lot of things with 0 attack that can attack. There's like a defender or something. So you're not really making up that deficit most of the time. But that's what ninjutsu is. It's a flashy mechanic just by like its existence, by definition almost, but it's not very strong, I think. Cap attack Wrecker enters the battlefield with a death touch counter on it. Okay, immediately modified, and 2 mana 1/3 death touch. Nice. Of course, it only enters if you ninjutsu it in, then it's attacking directly. So the death touch counter doesn't really mean much. Whenever this deals combat damage to a player, you may remove the counter from it. When you do, exile target artifact or enchantment that player controls. Okay. You know what? Now we're talking. Unfortunately, it has to deal combat damage to do that. So if it just could be whenever you want to remove the counter and blow up an artifact or enchantment, or exile it, cool. That's a legit effect. I'm here. I'm there for you. I would give that an easy 3.5 out of 5. It has to connect first. Sure, I guess it has death touch before it connects, so your opponent might not block it because it'll just kill whenever it blocks. Whatever it blocks it, right? And then you can remove the counter afterwards to blow up something. But I don't like it so much. I'm going to say 2 out of 5 just because of that line of thinking at the end there, but I still don't like it. In limited, this is 2 out of 5. In standard, it's a big fat turtle egg. Kodama of the West Tree is a 3 mana 3/3 legendary creature spirit. Apparently, there are also other Kodamas. This is the Kanye of the West Tree. There was Kanye North, South, East, and actually there is the Center Kanye, which is largely considered to be the strongest, most balanced Kanye. The other one's something going on in the head, who knows. So, 3/3 with reach. Modify creatures you control have trample. Okay, that's pretty simple and straightforward there. Also, whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, search your library for a basic land card, put into battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So you're asking a bit to have modified creatures out there. I think it's going to be fairly difficult to get a large number. I think 3 is probably the most you're going to have at one time. Just throwing them out there, just off the top of my head, I'm guessing that's it. I'm going to be making an educated guess because I know how to count to 3. I don't think this card is all that great. Trample's a good keyword, don't get me wrong. It actually does something. And getting land on the battlefield, cool. I like it. But it's a 3 mana 3/3. Yeah, with upside, okay. It's going to be at least like a 3 out of 5 there because it's pretty legit. But I don't think it does much more than just have reach. Maybe some things have trample. Maybe that matters, maybe not. So yeah, 3 out of 5. I'm not really taken aback by this card. I like that they finally completed the cycle. Although if they have all the the 4 directions in the center, are they going to have like the outer? Because why not? They can kind of expand a little bit. Who knows? In standard, I'm going to give this a 0.5 out of 5. I don't think modified is going to be a fantastic thing. I don't think green's going to be the color that's going to see a whole lot of it, but it's a 3 mana 3/3, so maybe it's okay. Yes, the dragon cycle. The cycle of dragon spirits back from the original Kamigawa. All of them had a trigger upon death. And so we revisit that today with Korra the Boundless Sky, a 5 mana 4/4 flying death touch dragon spirit. And when it dies, you get to choose one. Either search your library for up to 3 land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. Or create an XX green spirit creature token where X is the number of lands you control. I'll go over the easier one first and just say that for the second option, X, like the value for X is actually set when this ability resolves. It does not change, does not go up or potentially down based on the land you get, like a red and 6 token would. But that first ability, very important thing to see here, very important thing to realize, is that it says 3 land cards. not basic land cards. There's no restriction onto what kind of land you can get. So that is nice. The fact that doesn't put it into the battlefield hurts a little bit. Hurts a little in my soul. But outside of my soul, I'm okay with it. It's just in my soul, it doesn't sit right. Now, maybe this is an include in Tron, because, I mean, hell, it's green, and green Tron is best Tron. Although, don't get me wrong, I love Eldrazi's. I love them to death, as they would probably kill me or do something even worse, you know, if they got to me, just make my existence cease, more or less. But still, I think Eldrazi are super cool. Not as cool as, you know, the Phyrexians, but, you know, they're just right up there. But that's just because Eldrazi Tron. Okay, anywho. 5 mana 4/4 Flying Death Touch is good, and the other effect there is also very good. In Limited, this is clearly a very strong card. 4.5 out of 5 there. In Standard, I don't see a whole lot of lands and a whole lot of stuff. There are lands. There is a cycle of lands in the set that all have channel. So maybe we can make use of that with the ability. But I've said this before, I'll say it again. If you want to make those XX creature tokens, just play red and 7. Just play it and minus it, and there you go. You got the token. It can even get stronger. So yeah, in Standard, I'm gonna dial this back, way back to like a 2.5, just because I have some respect for what the card is, and also partially because the land, even though I don't think we have so many really flashy lands here. In older formats, this might be fantastic. This might be amazing. Might be a card you try to sneak in through something like Sneak Attack or something, and then have it die and get those lands that you really want. I mean, you can just get all the Tron lands, but imagining you have 5 lands out and they're not Tron lands is kind of hard to do. Okay, March of Burgeoning Life. Another cycle! Hooray! Every color also gets a March, which I believe they're all instant speeds, cost X and 1 of their color, but you can exile cards from your hand that are the same color as this card to pay towards that X, and each one adds 2, okay? Or the actual wording is, the spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. You get what I mean. They say I'm going to toss this Soul Ring, this Soul Ring, this Soul Ring, although they're all green cards. Choose target creature with mana value less than X. That's not something you read every day. It's not. Search your library for a creature card with the same name as that creature. Put it into the battlefield tapped. Then yawn, and then shuffle. This is a very strange card. The image is a little odd, but I get it. They're spirits. They're supposed to be kind of wonky and whatever and whimsical. I like that. That's fine. Since when do you want to target a creature with mana value less than X? You have to overpay, and then you target something. That's just strange wording. Okay, I guess it functionally is fine, but it just, ugh. And then you search your library for a creature with the same name. It has to be the same creature. That's pretty narrow, especially in Limited. This is like a 1 out of 5, probably like a 0, actually. Puts it in tapped and shuffle. I guess if you cheat one creature into play, you can try to cheat another one. I don't like it. I don't like that at all. I mean, sure, you can just play Fibblethip and draw some extra cards because you get played from the deck. Whoop-de-doo. No. No, I think this card's terrible. I'm going to give this thing a 0 out of 5 in Standard. The other ones are decent. This one, go ahead, tell me why I'm wrong. Someone break it for me. I think in older formats, it could get broken. I think I'm tired, and I gotta keep just plowing through this thing, otherwise it's gonna take forever and a day. My apologies for all the yawning there. I will do what I can to stay alert. Okay, good thing I don't have to drive immediately after this. I have to go to sleep after this. And that's the appropriate activity. Yeah, I think this card's terrible. Master's Rebuke. Sounds like a counterspell. It isn't, though. 2 mana instant. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. It is a one-sided fight. I like it. It's pretty good. This is pretty much as far as green removal goes. It's what you get. So for that, I believe that this is going to be like a 3 out of 5 limited, and Probably not played in Standard because we still have Blizzard Brawl, don't we? Yeah, Snow Things from Kaldheim. Yeah, we still have that. And that's a good card, so we'll play that for a while until it's gone, then we'll play this. Probably. Orochi Merge Keeper is a 2-mana 1/1 Snake Druid. You can tap it for green. As long as it's modified, it has tap and add 2 green instead. So if you modify it, it can tap for a little extra. 2-mana Llanowar Elf is bad. Doesn't really have many relevant creature types there. Snake is cool. There's a few snakes, but I mean, relevant things include ninja, rogue, samurai, warrior, not druid. So, yeah, not great. Reminds me a little bit of the thing back in Ravnica where you could like add the counters. You can adapt it, or was it like evolve, whatever the creature was, and then it could tap for more mana after that. Simic, Growth, Chamber, Specialist, Guardian, the Analyst, whatever the card was. So yeah, it reminds me of that, but it's not nearly as good. So this is like a 1.5 out of 5 in limited and 0 in standard. Roaring Earth, already with R's, nice, is a 2-mana enchantment. Oh, I actually like this card. Here we go. One I can get a little more excited about. Maybe it'll wake me up. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. And you can channel it for X and green. Discard this card, put X +1/+1 counters on a target land you control. It becomes a 0/0 green spirit creature with haste. Still a land though. So, the reason I like this card, it is an enchantment, it comes out pretty early, it sits around. Whenever a land comes in, that's going to happen fairly often, I think. If you get this later on, channel it so you don't have to worry about missing land drops and not being able to put the counters around. Modified matters. This card is very nice. It does what it does super well, and it even has the fail state where you can just do it anyway. Oh, it's great. I love this card. Absolutely like 4 out of 5 unlimited. I'm not even joking there. And in standard, this might see some play there. 3.5. Yeah, I'd like this card. Season of Renewal is a 3-mana instant. Choose one or both. Either, or not, or both, whatever. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, and or return target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. So this is a card that gets better if you have an enchantment and a creature. Okay, cool. Yeah. Nothing really much to say about that. It's okay. It's in standard, these effects don't see any play at all, so big 0 there. In limited, this card is actually alright, especially if you can do both. Ideally you want to do both if you just pay 3 to get 1 creature back. Hope it's a good one. Hope it's a damn good one. Otherwise, you're gonna feel a little not so good, a little like you should have done something else with your mana, with that card slot. Maybe you should have played this card. I have no idea. Maybe you should have played this card, actually. That card's interesting, funny, strange to value, but I like it. So, with that, yeah, the card's okay. I would give it like a 2 out of 5. In limited, the effect's not great, but the effect is tolerable. Shigeki Jukai Visionary. Bless you. Yeah, Gesundheit, as my friend would say. A 2-mana 1/3 legendary enchantment creature, Snake Druid. I know Snake Druid not relevant, but enchantment could be relevant. Hey, look at that. I can get back random whatever creature. I can get back this guy and this guy with this. Oh, too far. Hold on. So, this guy's whole thing. You can pay 2 and tap it and return it to its owner's hand, hopefully yours. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped. Put the rest into your graveyard. Or you can channel it XX green and discard it. Return X non-legendary spells from your graveyard to your hand. Sorry, not legendary cards. So it's basically the same thing. You can target lands if you want to, as long as they're not legendary lands. That's an option. But yeah, that's the thing. So this card, I think, is very nice. But unfortunately, it has the drawback of, well, you have to invest 2 mana to play it again every turn. And then you activate the ability, later on. Or, you have to have 4 mana and just do the thing. But it does ramp you. It looks at the top 4, which is pretty sweet. And if nothing comes up nicely, I like that it bounces itself, so you can almost always channel with it. You don't have to hold on to it and worry about it. You can put it on the board confidently, and if it dies, it dies. Okay, it needs some removal. You can just tap, try to ramp with it, or if you really want to channel, tap it and then next turn channel it. Card's cool. I think it's really nice there, and I will give it the lovely 3.5 out of 5 in limited, and the medium kind of 2 out of 5 in standard, just because I don't know if you could really afford to bounce this every turn and replay it. That's a big ask. But I think the payment there, let's see, in particular, look that for, put a land. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a basic land, although odds are it's going to be, but I think it's alright. 2 out of 5 in standard. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that still. Spinning wheel kick. This looks painful and I love it. It costs XX green. Where have we seen that before? Right around here. Different ability though. Different thing entirely. Sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each of X target creatures and or planeswalkers. Nice. So this is planeswalker removal. I'll break it down for you. If X equals 1, this thing costs 4. If X equals 2, it costs 6. And if X equals 3, it costs 8. So it goes, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, just adds 2 for each one. Where you can have, let's see, you want to do like 2 creatures. Okay, this thing costs 6. It's a bit, but you punch 2 things, you kill 2 things. Hey, green removal at its most decent. And add a decent flavor as well. So with that, yeah, I will call this a 3 out of 5 in limited. And just a 1 in standard. I don't think it sees any play, really. But, like, I think it's cool. I think it's going to be awesome to say, I cast Spinning Wheel Kick. Watcha! But your foot instead, because you're kicking. But, I'm sitting down. Springleaf Avenger is a 5-mana 6/5 insect ninja with ninjutsu for 4. I think you already talked about ninjutsu. I did, so you know what it is. Whenever Springleaf Avenger deals combat damage to a player, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. At least this is a 6/5, and the ninjutsu cost is cheap enough to kind of reasonably say I'm going to play this, and your opponent might not block it even on future attacks because it's damn strong. Or maybe if they do, then the little creatures are, not doing a whole lot. Probably being chump blocked. And the effect is fine. Too, or just filling your hand back up. Nothing wrong with that. It doesn't reanimate. It shouldn't reanimate. There's no black in it. There we go. Yeah, cards perfectly legit. And limited, this is nice, like a 3.5. And in standard, it's unfortunately not very good because the ninjutsu probably isn't very good. So I will bring it down to a 1.5 in standard, but 3.5 in limited. Story Weave. This is the one that's weird, I believe. So for 3 mana, instant speed, choose 1. Put 2+1/+1 counters on target creature you control, or, right. Put 2 lore counters on target saga you control. The next time 1 or more enchantment creatures enter the battlefield under your control this turn, each enters with an additional 2+1/+1 counters on it. So, you're just trying to put +1/+1 counters on a thing. That's it. You could choose a creature, or you can complete a saga, and then it flips over, and you do that one. I believe when you add the counters, that you fulfill the things, like if you add 2 counters at a time instead of 1, I believe you still do the previous chapter. You do like both of them as they're covered up. So it would do chapter 2, say you played a saga already and had a lore counter on it, and then you do this immediately afterwards. It goes through chapter 2, does whatever that effect is, then chapter 3 flips over, and because it flipped over like that, it gets 2 additional counters on it. Not bad. Not a bad little trick there. I'll say 2.5 out of 5. I think it's a little bit better than I initially thought, and I think it's a little bit better than maybe most people give it credit for. In standard, though, I don't think it's very good at all. Sashiro the Anointed, another reference. I love bringing these up. I think it's just a little extra work I have to do, not too much, just a little bit, but I think it's worth it. So, here's our lovely guy. He's look at him doing his thing with like the legs all up in the air and the bow pointed down. He's like, that's definitely, he does yoga, I'll tell you that much. Legendary creature Snake Monk. Cool. Not much of the rest of the card actually translates over at all. But now you know what the Tales of Master Sashiro actually are going on about. And you can see that same kind of elegant pose of them back there. So yeah, we're talking about this guy. We have a 5-mana saga. Chapters 1 and 2. State, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. It gains vigilance until the end of the turn. Okay. That's not too much to do for 5 mana, but I mean, I guess if you put them both in the same creature, okay, it can get a little buff there. Vigilance is nice, but whatever. But then it becomes Sashiro's Living Legacy. A 5-mana 5/5 Vigilance and Haste. Just straight up, that's it. No other things to worry about. Not a whole lot of words. Not sure why, but hey. not everything has to make sense, right? Not everything has to be a huge reference or a huge callback to stuff in the past. So yeah, 5 mana. Eventually you get a 5/5 Vigilance Haste, and you buff little things along the way. It's all right. I give it like a 2 out of 5 in limited. Just okay though. In standard, not really too excited about it. Tamiyo's Safekeeping costs but a single green mana. Watch out. One drop alert. Instant speed. Target permanent you control gains hexproof and indestructible until turn. You gain 2 life. So unlimited, this card's fantastic. Just protects your creatures, and not only from your opponent's kill spells, but also protects them in combat, which is awesome. Also, you gain some life, just because why not? Life is good to have. So this is like a 3.5, 4 to 5 kind of card. Like, yeah, I'll play this for sure. In standard, I don't believe this outdoes Snakeskin Veil. I think the +1/+1 counter, especially with all the other modified cards, matters, and then you just print this thing. I think the counter that you get from Veil is worth much more than the Indestructible, and the Scry 2 is just tacked on there because why not? So yeah, in standard, I'll give it a 1 out of 5. It might see some play if Veil rotates out and this doesn't. I'm not exactly sure how standard is going to go, whatever. But I believe that in limited, this card's much better. Because you don't have Snakeskin Veil. Simple enough. Teachings of the Kirin is a 2 mana saga. Chapter 1, mill 3 cards, and you make a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token. Chapter 2, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature control. And Chapter Flee, you flip it over into Kirin Touched Orochi, a 1/1 enchantment creature snake monk. And whenever this one attacks, only when it attacks now, beware, because you have to throw it in there and get its hands dirty. You either exile target creature card from the graveyard and you make a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token, or you exile a non-creature card from a graveyard, and when you do, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature control. There's a chance that it's going to come out swinging. You do the second one, and it makes it a 2/2 for 2. Especially after you milled a few cards. Alright, there's also a chance that it just spits out a 1/1, and this thing gets blocked, and dies, and is gone. I'm not really too excited about this card. I don't know why this card is a rare exactly. It doesn't feel like it needs to be a rare. It's nice that it exiles once, maybe more times, but once for sure, right? But that's really the best utility, is it attacks once, maybe trade to the 2/2 or something, and that's largely it. One of the great things about Scavenging Ooze is that not only is it instant speed, you can buff it, but you can buff it as many times as there are creatures in the graveyard. And you have green mana. So yeah, I don't like this card that much. In standard, I'll say in limited, I'll give it a 1. In standard, I'll give it a 0. Really don't like it. The Dragon Kami Reborn is a card with a lot of words again. Oh my goodness. 3 mana saga. Chapters 1 and 2. Look, you gain 2 life. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Exile one of them face down with a hatchling, with a hatching counter on it. Not hatching, just hatching. Then put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So you pay 3 mana to look at the top 3 cards of your library 2 times. Each of them gets a counter. And then at the end of the day, you flip this over, and it becomes a 0/1 Dragon Kami's Egg, which is an egg. Whenever Elder Dragon, right? Whenever Dragon Kami's Egg or a dragon you control dies. Doesn't have to be this, it can be another dragon. Okay, sure, there's a little more value there, not much. You may cast a creature spell from among cards you own in exile without hatching, with hatching counters on them without paying its mana cost. Whew, boy, I'm getting tired, but I can do it. I will power through. This kind of effect is very strange. It reminds me of Hideaway and like Sheldock Isle and sort of things. We've seen similar effects to this before, and they were not actually all that impressive. So I believe that this is asking a lot to get a 0/1 out there. I mean, sure, if your opponent attacks you and you throw this in the way as a blocker, cool. But there's always the chance that you don't get anything good. Like, it's looking at the top 3, that's not a whole lot of selection, You gotta have some damn good cards to make this work, and I don't know if you really have those damn good cards. So in standard, I'll give it a 1. And in limited, did I already give it a rating? I think I might give it a 1 there too. So there's one both ways, cool. Weaver of Harmony is a 2-mana 2/2 enchantment creature, Snake Druid. Other enchantment creatures you control get +1/+1. Nice little lord action there. And you can pay green and tap it. Copy target activated or triggered ability you control from an enchantment source. That's very strange and very specific. You may choose new targets for the copy. Very, very specific. Don't know why that exists. Couldn't really tell you. Do we have a reason why in the next page? Nope. So, I mean, I guess this is an equipment spider with an activated ability reconfigure. Yeah, but what are we doing? Yeah, I'm not sold on this thing. It's cool though, 2-mana 2/2. I'm not sold on the ability at the bottom there, but the first part is just good, just benefit stuff, which is awesome. So 3 out of 5 in limited. And maybe I will say a 1.5 out of 5 in standard. It might see some play. Maybe artifact creatures are coming back. Maybe not. We'll see soon enough. Web Spinner Cuff. Oh, I do love me a spider. 3 mana, 1/4 artifact creature equipment spider. With reach, an equipped creature gets +1/+4 and has reach. And there's your reconfigure there. Reconfigure, for those that don't know. So by the way, equipment can also be creatures, why not? So reconfigure is basically equip, but also unequip. When you reconfigure, if this is a creature currently just doing its own thing, you can reconfigure it onto another friendly creature, and that will have that equipped to it. At that point, this card ceases to be a creature. It is only an equipment, artifact as well. If the creature it is equipped to dies, or if you decide to pay the reconfigure cost to unequip, this thing becomes a creature again. Also, you can only do that as a sorcery, so, you know, there's that. Yeah, so now you know about reconfiguring these equipment creature bugger thingies. So with that in mind, I will say this is merely a... Ooh, boy. I'll give it a 2 out of 5 just because it can buff something else, and then it's going to be annoying to attack, and it can give reach, but it's really not very good there. You know what? I rescind the 2 out of 5, and I replace it with the 1, and I take away the 1 from my standard evaluation and call it a 0. Sorry. Esper had to go to the room for this. Esper is my snake buddy mascot for the channel. I hate to do it to you, but you're not that good. And that's it. We made it. Oh my goodness, we made it through all of them. I get to sleep. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna do a little thing there. That's my excited but also very tired maneuver, I guess. Thank you so much. Let me get that out of the way so we can look at this Tanuki. Yeah, look at this guy. He looks like such a nice guy. That's so chill, you know? Really big, and, like, large and in charge, but also, like, you know what? No one's gonna mess with him. He's having a good day. So thank you so much for watching through all the colored cards there. Well, all the monocolored cards, the multicolored and the land cards, and the colorless cards as well. Will be coming up shortly, but first I gotta take a nap, then I'm gonna look at those, and we're just gonna see how we do. I'm almost there though. Thank you so much. Hopefully everyone has a great time playing with these cards. If not, hopefully you enjoyed the review anyway. And without further ado, good night or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. But as always, good luck.